Hello everyone, welcome to a very special talk brought to you by Yoda1. Today's speaker is Ludovic Bodin. He's going to be sharing some key insights from his new book, Atomic Scaling: How Small Teams Create Huge Growth. These are insights that game developers looking to scale their games really need to hear, and I'm looking forward to it. So a bit about Ludovic. He started out as a tech and gaming entrepreneur, particularly focusing on social games and free-to-play games, but he has since expanded his mission to helping entrepreneurs, philanthropists, change makers apply the atomic scaling framework to their organizations. For context, as an investor, Ludovic has invested in everything from gaming companies in Silicon Valley and Vancouver to an AI company in Paris, a hydrogen-powered car company, and a bunch of other amazing stuff. And impressively, quite a few of his investments have surpassed unicorn level with billion-plus dollar valuations. So all that to say, he really knows his stuff. So if you're a game developer struggling with scale, I think you're going to get a lot out of today's talk, and I would encourage you to get the book, which is on pre-order now and will be out soon. I will hand it over to Ludovic, and after his presentation, we're going to do a short Q&A section. Ludovic, welcome.
Hi, Likens. Thanks for having me. Cool. So today we're going to talk about atomic scaling. Indeed, my new book. And before that, like a quick intro. So I'm from France originally. Been a tech entrepreneur for 20 years or so. Included in gaming, as Luc mentioned, and for the last 4 years or so, I've been a full-time investor. So I've literally started my first company in 1999, and as I said, full-time investor since 2018. And yeah, the last few years has been pretty cool. Like I invested around 15 companies on 3 continents, so Asia, Europe, and North America. I got 2 unicorns, 1 IPO. One company even got $1 billion order, which feels even more amazing than actually becoming unicorn. And all the company that I invested actually raised on follow-on investments. Total portfolio right now, the company combined is around $4 billion. Atomic Scaling is my new book, how a small team creates huge growth. And you might wondering, what does atomic scaling mean? So scaling is for exponential growth, is like where revenue and profit grow faster than cost. And atomic is this idea of trying to keep the team as small as possible. You might be wondering, and if you're familiar with the gaming industry, how big scaling can be. If we look at a company like Supercell, we're talking about $12 billion cumulated revenue in 6 years, from a team from 5 co-founders to around 300 plus people. Each of their game were developed by usually a team of 3 to 7 people, generated all over $1 billion. The top games, Clash of Clans, generated over 10 billion in revenue, with a team of 25 now that they're actually increasing a little bit in size. We're talking about a company like Riot Games, who went from zero, it was their first game, League of Legends, to accumulated revenue $20 billion with League of Legends in about 11 years. We're talking about a company from China called Tencent, who literally in 12 years, from the moment they IPO to 12 years later, they went from 1 billion in revenue a year to 50 billion, so 50x growth in 12 years. Tencent is the largest gaming company worldwide right now. How all this start for me? It really starts from an idea. A very simple idea at the very beginning of COVID, where Gabe Newell shared that the set of lessons that we learn in the video game business will be actually true on a much wider range of industries tomorrow. I was getting started at that time in investing in companies in tech and e-commerce and education and fintech and so on. And I figure out that the gaming industry will continue to do very well because 100% of our revenue were online. But there were a lot of other industry that could actually really benefit from learning from the gaming industry. From there, I start to dive into it, and very happy to get some endorsement right now on my upcoming book from Peter, co-founder of Angry Birds, from Kevin, the co-founder of Twitch, from Ilka, who has been quite inspirational for me in this journey, the co-founder of Supercell. From former CEO of Microsoft, founders of ESL, the largest esport company. Some people also helped me along the way, were early investors in Google, co-founder of Guitar Hero, co-founder of Boom Beach, etc., etc. I'm very proud about presenting to you today some of these early lessons from atomic scaling. And atomic scaling for me also have been my investment framework. So it's really for me today the way to screen companies and deciding which companies I want to invest, deciding what kind of entrepreneurs I want to invest. But it's also a gift to the world for gaming company and non-gaming company to have a new model on how they can exponentially scale while trying to keep the team as small as possible. If I actually go back in time and I share with you like how it all started for me, like way before investing and way before writing the book and so on, is I was actually a gaming entrepreneur. I was a VC-backed gaming company. We had a PC game, played by millions of people, and we were working very hard to kind of scale the game, scale the revenue, make profit from it, and so on. Truth is, it was very hard. Like even if we had tons of players, we pretty quickly felt some kind of ceiling. We always felt that we never had enough people to make all the cool features that we wanted to do. So we were always hiring. Always hiring means we were always also raising money from investors, and it was very, very stressful. As the company was growing, more employees and more users and so on, I will feel like more and more stretched and less productive. And then everything changed. I went to Finland and I met Ilka, the co-founder of Supercell. And I explained to him, Supercell was growing, but not as famous as today. And I explained to Ilka, like, I had around 30-ish people working on one game, and I felt I needed at least, 2 times more because of all the cool features we wanted to do. And I explained that, I ended up spending my whole time like just interviewing people and not really managing anything anymore. And then Ilka told me, well, for us, most of our games are actually created by 3 to 5 people, and it's doing pretty well for us. And he told me, he actually asked me the question. He said, "Why don't you stop hiring and start focusing more on the people you already have?" And I came back to the studio in Asia where we were, and it started changing a lot of things for me. I knew that I wanted to scale my business that way, kind of the atomic scaling way, where we actually put effort on the productivity of the team rather than just keeping adding people to it. It changed everything. It changed a lot, but yet I wanted to know more. It was not just, okay, how do you keep the team small while you grow? Like there is a lot behind that. And as I start my investment journey, I also realized that I needed kind of this screening model to evaluate companies that I want to invest and I want to help. And that's where I start writing Atomic Scaling. So Atomic Scaling is, if you want, like kind of the collective wisdom of the gaming industry. Like I went through the lessons from Supercell and from Riot and from Valve and from Twitch and many other companies that are very familiar to us who are part of the gaming industry. And I start to create this model, always with this original idea from Gabe that the set of lessons we learned in the video game business will be true to a much wider range of industries tomorrow. From there, I created a framework, and this framework helped me to, as I said, to screen company, but also to help entrepreneurs to visualize their business and improve on their business, see what are the levers where they can improve their business. It's called the 3P, 3R. 3P is for the business operating system, and 3R is for the funnel. If you start to think as like a data-driven or today what we call like a AI-powered company, and tomorrow even more AI-powered company, you need to start thinking as a funnel. So from the reach and the retention and the revenue, but also more importantly at the business operating system, what are the levers that you can act on in order to make your people more efficient, in order to have a better set of prediction, and in order to have a stronger playbook that everyone in your team start to understand, embrace, and all play together in order to win. From a high level point of view, like a little bit like Ray Dalio, if you read his book Principles, these are the principles behind the 3P3R and the atomic scaling framework. From people point of view, it's all about trying to hire less people. Actually, the less people, the better, and try to empower them more. So how do you do that? From a prediction point of view, as a data-driven company, and since the day of social game, which is also like kind of my DNA, coming from the world of Facebook and Zynga and Farmville and so on. Like one quote that I really appreciate from Gabe, also the founder of Valve, is prediction is as important as production. That's actually from Gabe Newell, the founder of Valve. So how do you actually start making prediction in your company? And how do you start being better and better at making this prediction? And the stronger you get at prediction, the more profitable your company gets. The less waste is created also in your company. The third one, and same thing, we go through use case and example from company like Amazon and Valve and so on how they're working and how they're teaching their people to be stronger at prediction. The third P is a playbook. If you guys are familiar with the notion of finite game versus infinite game, infinite game is typically the game of business. You don't really know who are your competitors. You don't really know. Any competitors can pop up out of nowhere that is totally unknown to you. The rules are not clear. Things are changing, etc., etc. It's a very fun game to play. The infinite game, the game of business, but it's also a very stressful game to play. And as a team, we're not really made to play infinite game. As a team, we are made to play finite game. And finite game is typically what game developers do, what game developers create. They create games where there is rules, like where there is a set of rules, kind of a common objective that everyone understands, and we all play together in order to win. So a little bit like the idea of sport, for example. Sport is a finite game. There is a set of rules that everyone understands. If you play soccer and football and so on, everybody understands the rules. Everybody play the same rules, and there is a very clear objective of and playbook on how you're going to win. In companies, it's very often that people don't even know what it means to win as a company. So that's something that we also introduce use case and tools on to try to make your company having a stronger playbook, meaning also having a set of common objective and rules to play as a team and to win as a team. Then when we go from the 3R, which is really like kind of this funnel approach. Funnel approach is really important. Like a few of my investments that I'm focusing on right now are not just a gaming company, but also like a SaaS company, education company, fintech, and AI company. Like everyone is kind of getting AI powered company. The first thing you need to do if you want to be like a data-driven company is to start thinking as a funnel. What's kind of the top of the funnel, what's kind of the bottom of the funnel, and what are the different hypotheses in between. We also see that in the prediction chapters. From the funnel, there is three key elements in the 3R: the revenue, the reach, and the retention. The revenue, same thing coming from my history of freemium games, were really part of the first waves of freemium games from Asia and to the rest of the world. We're trying to, through atomic scaling, to encourage everyone to start thinking as what kind of service you can offer for free, as a way to onboard a lot more users or players in the case of a game, but how you actually optimize this freemium approach. There is a lot of learning from the gaming industry that I think need to be learned by everyone, not just the producer or the game designer, but also the artist and the developer and so on. So through this, we're also trying to offer kind of a common language and common set of rules for everyone to understand and appreciate the freemium model. The second one is about reach. And on reach is like how you reach customers. We have frameworks. One of them is called OB, for own, buy, and earn, where we basically like create these tools where you can start thinking about, okay, how I'm going to reach a new pocket of users, not just from the B, which is from buying, buying advertising. And when we go actually through use case and details on and tools on how to do that, but also on how you can develop and nourish your own list. Sometimes it's just a mailing list that you run on a regular basis. And the last one from the E is earn, which is probably my favorite, is how you actually start to piggyback on existing communities. How do you actually target communities that maybe already have access to some of your users, and how do you get in front of this pocket of users through partnership? The third R is about retention, and retention is, in the game industry we call it the live ops, the live operation, and that's probably the best kept secret from the gaming industry that the rest of the world can learn. It's something across the last 15 years or so that I've been either as an entrepreneur or as an investor in the game industry. It's something that everyone kind of know more or less, but no one has a common understanding and definition of what it is. So we actually have a framework here that we call the Love framework, where we actually introduce what are the live ops, what needs to be done, what is done in order to increase retention, in order to prevent churn, in order to also like start to get better and better at churn prevention, churn detection, but also like upsell and so on. So that's it. That's in a nutshell. What is the atomic scaling framework? The 3P, 3R, and for each of that, we go into the details. So I'm not going to go into the details today because there is a book for that, and there is also like the masterclass that we're offering. But just to give you kind of a snapshot of this. When we think about people, of course, we're thinking about staying as small as possible from a team point of view, but we also really encourage the leadership and everyone in the company to start thinking with both sides of their brains, like the left brain and the right brain, the engineers and the artists. Like if you look at the people that constitute a team in a gaming company, usually have the engineers and usually have the artists, and like the best people you can see at Valve and Supercell and Riot and so on are these people who are both artists and engineers who can really think from both sides of their brain. And there is things you can learn, things you can do in order to be better at that. One of the things that's really makes a difference, if you think of companies like Supercell and Valve and Netflix and so on, that we go through also in the book, is it's all about team performance rather than individual talents. So it's not about always hiring better people and so on, like the rock star and the next person is always better than the last hire, but it's about the team performance. So how do you actually evaluate a team performance? What do you need to do in order to kind of increase team performance? And part of that, at the very core of the team, is this notion of magical pair. That is quite a known notion if you are from the artistic world, like music and movie and so on. But it's also something that Supercell really promoted early days of the company. And another one that I'm not going to get into the detail, but we have an acronym for EPIC. It's not Epic Games, but it's for Epic Employees. And there is an acronym that define what type of employees you're actually looking at right now, and how do you reward these employees accordingly. Very quick snapshot also, but I'm not going to go into the very details of it. It's about the prediction. So we are talking about being like a more data-driven company. Again, think of the early days of social game and what Zynga brought to the world. One of the key principles is obviously how to learn how to predict, how to be better at making prediction. But for that, there is a key element is you need to really empower your people to start making predictions themselves. And it's something that can be taught. It's something that, like, for example, like Twitch is doing very, very well at. It's something that Amazon is doing amazingly. It's also something that luxury company like LVMH are doing extremely well. Know the difference between prediction and predication, or otherwise called prophecy. And last but not least, we actually introduce a framework, which is the prediction cycle framework, from hypothesis to measurement to change. Again, kudos to the guys at Zynga, who probably change for the greater good the gaming industry. That's it in a nutshell from the 3P, 3R, and the atomic scaling framework: people, prediction, and playbook, revenue, reach, and retention on the funnel. In addition to the book, we're launching also like a series of masterclass. The masterclass is a 7 weeks masterclass. You got the blueprint offered for free. We're eating our own dog food with the freemium model. And then you have 7 weeks where we go 2 hours per week through each of the lever that you can use to kind of break the ceiling in terms of scaling for your own company. If you've been looking for growth for your own company, if you've been looking at scaling and you feel maybe like you need some new way to look at things and kind of break this invisible ceiling that you have on top of you, this is the levers that we're working on with you through the masterclass. It's a 7 weeks masterclass. The first module is for free, where we introduce the model and so on, and then it's a 7 week masterclass that you can go with us. So that's it in a nutshell. Atomic scaling, and again, the set of lessons we learn in the tech and video game business will be true in a much wider range of industry, but included, it's a gift also for the gaming industry to have a common language, play all together the same game, and playing to win. Thank you.
All right, Ludovic, that was fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for talking through it. I mean, very dense information covered really well. We have some questions that I want to ask that we collected, but I just have one question I'm curious about. So you're talking about a predictive framework. I'm wondering how much of that is when you're teaching a team, is that more of a mindset, or is it more as a specific set of analytics that they should be looking at to develop that ability to predict?
It all starts with the mindset. So the first thing is you actually need to teach your people to be better at making prediction, and you need to teach your people on how to actually make prediction. First, it's a mindset, and then it's something that you need to start putting prediction on literally everything. So it's not just prediction on what is your CAC and LTV and so on, but you actually need to start breaking down the prediction, for example, on your prediction on the impact of new features that you will introduce. A company like Zynga will say, like, for example, if you cannot measure something, well, you should probably not do it. If you start to have things you're doing but you're not capable of measuring, that means internally, it's about who has like the stronger voice to explain that his predication or his prophecy is going to have the biggest impact on the game or on the company. The stronger you get at making this prediction, which means this set of hypothesis, measurement, and from there a change, the faster you will be at increasing the productivity of your company.
Right. Okay. So it's sort of like a methodology that kind of builds up over time within teams. So we did a poll before our conversation on LinkedIn. We wanted to gauge among our audience really what they care about most in 2024. We wanted to know, do they care most about increasing their efficiency, right? Do they care most about learning how to improve engagement and retention, understanding trends, or developing leadership sort of within themselves? The top two were engagement and retention and leadership, right? So this seems to be the two things that at least our audience is really focused on. I wonder, with that sort of in mind, do you have any general advice for, let's say, someone running a small studio who's thinking about these two things, probably going to pick up a copy of the book, but what general advice would you give them?
The key change in mindset is to actually stop focusing on individual talent and hiring new people, but actually trying to make your team better. Within the team, maybe there is too many people. Maybe if there is one person less in the team, suddenly the whole productivity of the team is going to increase. And it doesn't mean that the person who's going to move from team A to team B was an underperformer. It just means that this person was maybe not the right fit for the team. The retention part is like the best kept secret in the gaming industry. If you suddenly have your team who are playing the same game, meaning like they all understand what it takes to win in today's world in the gaming industry, and why LabOps is such an important weapon for us to win, and what is this weapon about, then life is going to be a lot easier. You're going to have a lot less stress to try to convince or an artist to do another weapon or another this or another that, because it's something that's, yeah, we should do this, and by the way, why are we not doing that? And suddenly it's going to be like a team effort rather than kind of a top-down approach from the producer or the designer to the engineers and the artist.
It's really interesting. So what I'm hearing you saying is there's not just a siloing of skill sets. There's also a siloing of goals or an understanding of what the big picture is. And when you start to allow for more cross collaboration, less siloing of those goals, then things open up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, I've got a couple other questions that we've collected if you've got time. So maybe we could get into those. Could you talk a little bit about, you didn't talk about this in your talk. I'm not sure how much you get into it actually in the book, but how should developers start thinking about integrating artificial intelligence into their business operations, but also into their games at this critical stage?
The difficulty to become an AI-powered company is to start to be a data-driven company. You need to start collecting data. You need to start coming up with a set of hypotheses, and you need to start coming up with tools to actually measure. So the prediction chapter is really kind of the mindset that you need in order to become an AI-powered company. Technology itself it's accessible. It's going to be more and more accessible, but the mindset to be really good at becoming an AI-powered company is really like this. What we go through the prediction chapter. I believe any game company who are not using AI both in their production and business are going to be out of business pretty quickly, because the competitive advantage that the company embracing AI are going to have compared to them is just going to be like outrageous. It's going to be impossible for them to compete. And it's not just in terms of acquisition of customers, but also like overall profit, overall compensation for the talent, and so on.
So I want to ask a question about how you see the landscape. You talked about prediction and having the mindset and knowing what metrics to track. But when you look at the landscape specifically for games, what do you see coming up on the horizon besides AI in terms of trends?
I'm actually super excited to see the innovation that's going to come from the use of what we call like swarm AI, meaning like where you have multiple AI powered agents that are going to somehow collaboratively work together and do stuff that are going to be mind blowing. So you can literally start developing games out of technologies that are super cutting edge. That's where we put in open source by Andreessen Horowitz, which is also like one of the big investor in tech, but also in gaming.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. You talked about how there are things happening, or let's say things in games that you see applying to other areas of tech. You talked about live ops and how that's sort of the secret sauce of games. I'm wondering if there's anything that goes in the opposite direction. So lessons from other areas of tech that you think would be really valuable for game developers to look at and take on to bring into game studios.
A lot of the learning actually were coming from e-commerce company and like airline and anything to kind of increase customer engagement and stuff like that. So a lot of this learning actually that we know right now in the free to play, and we probably brought that to another level that is a lot more advanced than the freemium company like Zoom or Skype and whatever, or Spotify and so on. So the gaming company are a lot more advanced, but a lot of the learning actually came from the world of commerce and e-commerce and affiliation and so on.
So I guess that would be maybe a call to just open your vision a little bit and draw inspiration from e-commerce, from fintech, wherever you can find inspiration. Maybe take some of those things that are working in other areas and try to apply them and see how they work, right? I guess that's what you're doing with your book. Ultimately, that's what you're doing. You're trying to abstract out principles that you see applying across industries, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to create bridge to kind of offer the gaming industry a principle that we can all understand and embrace within the company. It doesn't matter if we're an artist or an engineer or producer or designer or founder and so on. And also outside of the game industry, like how can we learn from an industry that already serve 100% of their customers online? Like during COVID, one of the big thing was everyone was saying, okay, we're going to go from 5 to 10% of our business online to 20 or 25%. Like some of the company I work with are like very large company like Mercedes and Unilever and so on. So like Mercedes, for example, they're targeting 25% of their revenue to come from online purchase of car by 2025. So how do they do that? And it's not a technical challenge for them. It's a mindset challenge. They really need to start thinking like a gaming company if they want to be able to reach their 25% revenue target by 2025 online.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate all of the insights. I'm really excited to read the book. Thank you for talking through some of the ideas. Some things, really interesting insights, but also some tantalizing stuff that I think you weren't able to go into as much depth on as you do in the book. So definitely looking forward to it. Again, thank you so much for your time. So to those watching, check out the book. I believe it's on pre-order, and depending on when you watch this, will be out soon to get more of those insights. Ludovic, is there anything else you want to add before we call it a day?
No, it's just thanks again, Luke, and thanks to you, the one for bringing me in today and being in touch with your community. It's awesome.
Well, Ludovic, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate all of the insights. I really enjoyed the talk. Thank you all so much for joining. Let us know how you felt about it in the comments, or you can reach out to us at yoda1.com. And also, let us know what other talks you'd like to hear, other topics you would like us to focus on in the future. And don't forget to check out Ludovic's book. Okay, that's it for us. Feel free to hit the like button and subscribe or follow to show your support, and we will see you in the next one.